Hello there, YouTubers and weavers. This time I had a request on YouTube attached on one of my videos, but it came through to me a couple days ago to do more weaving videos, and it's been, well, I did the one out at Vavstuga. That was about a month ago that I was there, but I finally put the video up a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think I did any weaving for maybe a month before that on here. So it's about time, but I'm going to do a really small project. If you were to look back to last summer, you saw a project where I used the Inkle Loom to do a set of suspenders. And I'm going to use the same Inkle Loom again starting today, and it'll probably take me 2 days to finish this, 2 or 3. Anyways, but I'm not going to do suspenders. That was using carpet warp, and it gave me a very thin, strong band, great for suspenders. What I'm going to be doing is making a fairly narrow scarf. It'll be about 3.5, 4 inches wide. And I've got some of this acrylic yarn from Walmart, this Red Heart Super Saver stuff. I've got it in green and red and yellow. Those are the colors I'm going to do in this scarf. And I've already finished one scarf in the same kind of yarn, and it's in blue and red and yellow. 2 different shades of blue, but they're very close. So anyways, it gets me scarf a little over 8 feet long, about 4 inches wide, and that's the intent. So there's one done, one more to make. Alright, I realize that you're looking at this upside down from the way I'm seeing it, but we'll deal with that. So I think I showed you this last summer, but I'm gonna do it again now just in case. In order to have a place to just tie off temporarily the threads as I'm winding them, if you'll notice right here in the end of my Inkle Loom, I've got some small holes drilled. And I went to Woodworkers Depot and I bought these little pegs, and they can go into here, and I can kind of use them like a belaying pin that I can tie onto. So what I've got at the end of my yarn is I put a little slip knot into it, put that over the end of the pin, and now I begin to wrap the yarn onto the Inkle Loom. And I'm going to have the first string be one that goes with the heddle. So here's my heddle. To do that, I forgot to adjust this. I need to have this out to long distance because it'll take up as we're weaving. There. So there's the first thread on there. And I've got this kind of planned out as the number of threads I'm going to use. So we'll put the second thread, and this one doesn't go through a heddle, so that'll be this one. See, this one's going to go down in this position where we can move it. Now we'll go again through a heddle position, and I'll grab a heddle and put that on. So again, what I'm doing is I can use one huge long warp for each color, and that's what I'm doing right now, is just placing one long warp. Now there's number 3 of what's going to be a heddle. And I'm going to do, my plan is for 4, both heddle and non-heddle in red. So let's keep going. 1, there's the non-heddle. Now that makes number 3 of red, both heddle and non-heddle. This one will be heddle again. Remember, we alternate. One goes through the heddles and one doesn't. And I just, again, I use these string heddles and I fold them back over this far here, and it just holds things, everything in place. So 1, now what's next? I'm going to do 3 more red. With the heddle, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Next I'm going to do yellow. So I will put a belaying pin in here, tie a little slip knot. The slip knot over the belaying pin, stick that in the end. Now, that was a non-heddle and I want a red with the heddle. So I'm going to be alternating red and yellow now for a couple rows. So there's the heddle. Now we do the non-heddle row. 1, 2. Okay, you get the idea, I think, of what I'm doing. I'm going to keep going with this, and I will come back to you as soon as I've got the got a little bit more of this done. Well, I'm not done warping this up yet, but I wanted to just take a minute and show you a couple things. I want to be sure you can see here how I'm using the belaying pins to hold things. Just to hold the threads in place as I work. Okay, so I'm a little over half done, maybe 2/3 done with the warping. Starting to fill up the pegs, but that's okay. That's the idea. And I'm working on points where I'm alternating one color and another color between the heddle threads and the non-heddle threads. And what that's going to give me is this effect like this, where I've got the red in here interspersed with the other colors. So that's kind of where I'm at. Let's see what's next in our pattern. The next thing should be 2 yellows and 2 greens, and the yellows are going to be on the heddles and the greens are going to be the non-heddle position. I actually planned this in advance, thread by thread, which quite often with inkle weaving I don't always do. I usually just put them on until they look right. But I wanted to be sure that this one was balanced and came out the right number of threads wide, so I planned it. 2 yellow and 2 green. The green is not through the heddle, so we'll do this. There's a green not through the heddle, and we'll take the yellow and we will go one more time around with that. Always pushing things down to be sure they stay on. And we can now put on another heddle. Alright, I've moved the camera around so you can get a totally different angle. Now you're looking over my shoulder, and I'm now doing a set of 3 reds on the heddle and 3 yellows not on the heddle, and I've already got one of that done. So my next one is going to be a red that goes on the heddle, or that goes through a heddle, I suppose I should say. There's that. Put that down by the belaying pin. Now we'll take a yellow that goes not through a heddle. And that goes there and around the belaying pin. Okay, now, let's see if we can do this. The next thing we need to do is to tie this last thread from this side to the first thread from the other side. So I'm going to just put a wrap there to get it out of my way for a second. Take out that belaying pin. Find the thread from the bottom, the very first red one that we did. Tie these two together. I can snip that off. And simply put a square knot in there. Now I'll do the same thing with the yellows. Take this previous yellow, get it up out of the way just for a moment, take out the belaying pin, take out the slip knot, snip it off. You see what I'm doing there with the knot? Just put a simple square knot in there. The tension doesn't have to be exact. As long as it's approximate, I'm happy. Alright, I'm ready to start weaving. Hopefully you can see this over my shoulder, because I've set the camera on a tripod behind me. You can see I create a shed like that. We've got to open the first 1 or 2 shots are a little bit difficult to make, but we'll go this way. And I'm going to weave from both ends on the first couple times just to get this end tucked in from both sides with my weft. After I get done the first couple times, then I can go to you can already begin to see what the pattern is going to look like right there. So And I think that's about enough with the double work. So what I'm going to do, pull this tag end out on this end, right a couple threads in, and just snip it off. You'll never know what happened to it if you hadn't seen it already. I have woven one batch of weft into this, and now it's time to wind up my shuttle for the next bit of weaving on this fine red, green, and yellow piece that I'm hoping will become a scarf. It is admittedly a rather narrow scarf, but I think it will offer some color and excitement to someone. So we'll continue like this. With you've seen me wind bobbins for working at the other loom. With this loom, a shuttle just works much better. So we do this and cut it off. I'm leaving a tail here, and what I'm going to do is go through the same opening again, so that I will in effect have two pieces of yarn in one or two places. And by the time we're done, nobody will notice that there's two pieces of weft in those places. We don't have to do any knot tying or anything like that. The weaving itself will be tight enough to hold everything in place. So you can see kind of how I'm doing the weaving here. I'll just pull that out halfway across, snip it off after I get it woven in. Oops. This is, you saw my inkle weaving process like I said last summer, but that was with a very thin threads of carpet work. So this is probably a little bit easier to see, and they're brighter colors too, so I'm hoping you can get a better sense of what I'm doing with inkle weaving. Creating the shed on this is a little different than on a big loom because I don't have the foot treadles to hold it open. I just go through and use that little wooden piece, this thing that I use as both my beater and my shed holder. Go in, bring it down to beat, and then come up and turn it sideways so that it holds the shed open while I push the shuttle through. Then I can beat with it again, go down, open the shed on the other side, and go through again. And we make fairly good progress with this. It's a fairly fast process. I mean, if I sat and actually worked steadily, I would expect that I could do a whole project in probably about 5 hours. I will take some breaks though, so it's going to, the total time to finish will be more than that. But you get the idea. So let's cut off this little Irish pennant that's down here. And now we will advance the warp by slackening off a little bit. Reach under and grab this top part, and then I'm going to reach under and grab the bottom with my other hand, and I just pull. And you can see it's advanced. Push the heddles back out of the way, and now I'm pull it up toward myself and retighten the warp. And there we are. Put the wooden piece in again to hold it open, and I can continue to weave. Here you can see the loom and the current small project from about the perspective that I usually see it when I'm working. I'm back just a few inches farther than I like to work, but that's just so it'll show up decently on camera. But anyways, this is the way I would usually see it, and you can kind of see that I've got the shuttle inside the shed there. There's the line of the heddles that are holding things in place. Let's go up and look at the top of the loom. And there you can see toward the back. So what I wanted to show you is about how far I've gone. So I'm turning it around, turning it to the side so you can get a better feel for it. So this is the part that's not woven. You can see the shed that the shuttle goes through. And the finished woven piece goes around the front and underneath. And as you can see, it follows the path that we set up when I was warping this. It comes around here, up around this back dowel. It comes up this way, around this middle dowel, back this way, and here's that's where I first started weaving. And you can see that basically comes up to here. Then I've got those ties where I tied the pieces together. They're just kind of laying there. They'll flop around, and I'm not going to worry about them for the moment. Then I've got the unwoven pieces going here, up around one more dowel. Let's see if I can get the camera down a little bit so you can see that. So those go around this dowel, right underneath this piece, up around the final dowel at the back, and then you can see here that we've got the part that is attached to the heddles goes at the top, and that's right there. I'm going to pull the shuttle out, pull my stick out, and you can see that those are down, and when I push this down, the tension of the fact that this is on the upper dowel keeps this up, and only this part moves. Now if I were going the other way and I wanted the shed on the upper, you could see where I would be pulling up like this. I'm not going to do the whole thing right now, but there's where the shed would be the other one. And in this case, the heddles are holding their half of the threads down when I pull up. So it's this piece of warp that goes below the top dowel that I move to create the shed. Okay, so you can see that again. There's that. It's up. There's a shed. There's a shed. And it's by moving these threads up and down, and then I put the weft threads in between. That's how I get the place for weaving. And basically I weave from about here up until I get to about here. And then I loosen the tension on this piece here. Let's turn the whole loom around. You can see I've got a wing nut on that, and so I loosen the tension on that, slide it back a little bit. That loosens the tension on the entire piece. Then I grab it, and I can't show you that because it's a two-handed process. Okay, and I pull the entire thing forward like that, just forward, so that when the weaving was about there, I pull it down to about here, I retighten the tension, tighten the wing nut, and I weave for another 3 or 4 inches. And then I repeat that process, and I just keep doing this through the entire process of weaving until I'm done with the piece. So there you go. I'd say I'm a little over half, between half and 2/3 done. I'm gonna do 2 or 3 more shots across here with the weft, and then I'm going to call this done. Because it's getting very close to where there's not enough room to weave. So we'll just do this. Okay, if you take a look, I've woven to here, and you can see that this part up here is woven. So I've really only got this little bit here. I'm going to get a couple more picks in there, but that's about it. And then we will cut this off of the loom and put some twisted fringes onto the ends and call it done. In fact, I think that's probably good enough. So let's snip that off. Now let's figure out about where the middle is here. It's about there. So I'll get these excess pieces out the way. Looks about right to me. You see what I'm doing? There we are. Now we take the heddles off. They just slide off. I'll set them aside. We still have a little work to do to put on twisted fringes, but you can get an idea of what I've got here. So I'm going to go ahead now and start the twisted fringes. You've seen me do that before. I've got a whole separate video on how to do twisted fringes. I'm going to be using my handy-dandy fringe twisting device that I spent $17 or $18 on, and it has saved me hours of work and headaches. I'm working on the twisted fringe. I've got 2 more sets to do, and we'll be done with this. So let's set it on my knee there and start to do this. I'm taking, in each set that I twist, I've got the 3 alligator clips, and you've seen this device before, and I'm putting 2 threads per alligator clip, so that's a total of 6 threads in each twisted fringe set. And there we are, there's that, and now we'll take the twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm giving it 15 twists. That, if I count them out, and it doesn't have to be 15, but what I want is it to be consistent. And on the first 1 or 2 I tested to see what looked right, and 15 seems to be about a good number for this. Tie the little knot in it, pull it up, and as you can see it's still untwisted, but we just let go and it becomes a twisted fringe. So here we go with the last set. Then I'll show you the whole scarf in just a second, as soon as I get this last set of fringes twisted up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. You see that? I think it looks kind of nice myself. Admittedly, I'm prejudiced because I made it. So. Final set of twisted fringes done. I'll stand up and move the camera and show you the whole scarf. Okay, all done with this scarf. You can see it's fairly long. It's just over 8 feet long, not counting the twisted fringes that are about another 4 inches on each end, 3 or 4 inches. And it's only about 4 inches wide. So it's a fairly narrow scarf, I will fully admit that, but I'm just going to put it on and show you what it looks like. Anyways, there you go. That's a kind of a colorful scarf made on the Inkle Loom. I started it on Saturday afternoon, didn't do any work yesterday and Sunday, and finished it today, Monday, and I've been working on it, you know, for like I said, I'm guessing it's the total time in here is somewhere between 5 and 6 hours. So it gives you a rough idea of what went into making this fine scarf. And that's it for weaving for the moment. But I really wanted to show you this. It's a quick and easy little project that you can do without a lot of expense. The yarn is relatively inexpensive. There's not a lot of time. And an Inkle loom is probably one of the easiest looms that one can find. That, by the way, is the very first loom I ever built. I think I've had that one now just under 20 years. It works great. No moving parts except the yarn itself, so it's a great first loom for anybody who wants to take up weaving and see what they think of it. So my thoughts on that as well as this project. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I appreciate that I do have subscribers who are interested both in the weaving stuff and in the cooking stuff that I do and in my travels and all those kinds of things. I certainly appreciate having subscribers, so for those of you who have subscribed, thank you much. If you're not a subscriber but stumbled on this video and like my videos, I certainly would appreciate if you would subscribe to my channels. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.